Before electricity, night arrived fully, not gradually, not with streetlights pushing back the darkness. Night came with weight, with presence, with finality. When the sun set, the world changed completely. What was visible became invisible. What was distant became unreachable. The day ended, and night began, and there was no mistaking one for the other. You are approaching a town as darkness settles. The road beneath your feet is dirt, worn into familiar ruts by carts and animals and countless footsteps. It is uneven, soft in some places, hard in others. You can feel the texture through your shoes, the give of earth, the occasional stone, the way the path shifts and changes with each step. The air smells of smoke, not sharp, not acrid, just the constant, everywhere smell of wood burning. Every home has a fire. Every hearth is lit or has been lit recently. The smoke rises from chimneys, at openings in roofs, drifting across the sky, settling into the air you breathe. It is the smell of warmth, of cooking, of survival. Ahead, you can see the town. Not clearly, not all at once, just the suggestion of it. Darker shapes against the darkening sky, the outline of walls, the faint glow of light from within. The town is small. A few hundred people, perhaps, maybe less. Stone walls surround it, not tall, not imposing, but enough to mark the boundary between inside and outside. The gates are still open. Wooden gates, heavy and worn, held in place by iron hinges that creak and they move. They stand ajar, not welcoming, not forbidding, just open because the day has not yet fully ended. Someone will close them soon. Not yet. You pass through. The walls are thick. You walk beneath the arch of the gateway, and for a moment you are inside stone, enclosed, the light blocked completely. Then you emerge on the other side, and the town opens before you. The streets are narrow, stone and packed earth. Buildings on either side, close enough that you could touch both walls if you stretched your arms wide. The buildings are made of wood and stone, plaster and daub, roofs thatched or tiled. They lean slightly, settling into the earth over years. Their walls no longer perfectly straight, their corners no longer sharp. The light here is different. No moon yet. Just the glow of fires from within buildings, seeping through cracks around doors, through gaps in shutters. Orange light, warm, faint. Not enough to illuminate the streets fully, just enough to suggest presence, to mark where homes are, where life continues behind walls. You walk slowly. Your footsteps sound soft on the ground. The earth absorbs them, and the narrow space between buildings holds them, and the sound returns to you changed, muffled, close, intimate. A torch burns ahead, mounted on a wall. The flame moves constantly, never still, creating shadows that shift and dance across the stone. The light it gives is small, a circle of orange that extends only a few feet before the darkness reclaims the street. This is a world lit by fire. Every source of light is a flame. Every flame requires fuel, requires tending, requires someone to light it and watch it and feed it. Light does not appear at the touch of a switch. It is made, maintained, allowed to exist for as long as the fire lasts. The town feels quiet, but not silent. You can hear voices, distant and indistinct. Not words, just the texture of conversation, softened by walls and distance. Somewhere, a door closes, wood meeting wood, followed by the sound of a latch dropping into place. An animal makes a sound, a dog perhaps, or a goat shifting in sleep. The air is cool now. The warmth of the day has left, pulled away by the night. You can feel it on your skin, the slow creeping chill that comes when the sun is gone and fires are the only source of heat. Smoke drifts past you. Thin wisps, barely visible, carrying the scent of burning oak or beech or whatever wood was available. The smoke does not rise straight up. It moves with the air, curling and spreading, filling the streets with its presence. You pass a window. The shutters are closed, but light escapes around the edges. You can hear something from inside, the low murmur of voices, the scrape of something across a floor, the sound of people finishing the tasks of the day. The streets wind and curve. There is no grid here, no planning from above. These are paths worn into being by use, by people choosing routes that made sense, by animals and carts following the easiest way. The streets go where they need to go, and you follow them. Another torch ahead. This one is guttering, a flame smaller, the fuel running low. It will burn out soon, and no one will relight it tonight. The street will be darker then. The shadows will claim more space. You can feel the weight of the night settling over the town. Not oppressive, not threatening, just present. The day has ended, and the night has begun, and this is simply what happens. Work stops, movement slows, people retreat into their homes. The world outside becomes less certain, less navigable, less safe, but inside, behind walls, fires still burn, families gather around them, food is eaten, stories are told or not told. Children fall asleep. The day's work is set aside until morning. The medieval world does not resist the night. It accepts it, prepares for it, knows that darkness comes and brings its own rhythm, its own rules. You continue walking, deeper into the town. The streets narrow further, the buildings press closer. The light becomes more scattered, a glow here, darkness there, patterns that shift as you move. This is a world that lives by fire and sleeps when fire dims. No clocks to mark the hours. No distant lights to suggest how much night remains. Just the gradual darkening, the slow cooling, the sense that the day has ended and will not return until the sun does. The town settles around you. Doors closing, voices fading, fires burning lower, the world preparing for rest. You are here now, moving through it, a presence in the night. Walking streets that will empty soon, that will become silent, that will wait through darkness or morning to return. The medieval world continues, slowly, quietly, lit only by flames that will eventually go out. The torch ahead flickers, and the shadows move with it, not smoothly, not predictably. The flame bends in the breeze, recovers, bends again, and each time it moves, the darkness shifts. Shadows stretch across the stone walls, then contract, then stretch again. Nothing is still when fire is the only light. You walk toward it. The circle of orange light grows larger as you approach. You can see the details now, the iron bracket holding the torch, the blackened stone around it where smoke has left its mark, the way the flame consumes the wrapped cloth at the torch's head, burning brighter in some places, dimmer in others. You pass beneath it, and for a moment you are inside the light. The street is visible, uneven stones, worn smooth in the center, your feet have walked most often, rougher at the edges. Then you move beyond the torch, and the darkness returns, deeper now after the brief brightness. The next light is far ahead, too far to reach quickly. Between here and there, the street is nearly black. You slow your pace. Your feet find the ground carefully, testing each step before committing weight to it. The stones are uneven. You can feel them through your soles, the gaps between them, the places where one sits higher than another, the slight give of packed earth where stone is absent. The walls on either side are close. You can reach out and touch them. Feel the rough texture of stone and mortar, the coolness of surfaces that have not seen sun all day. The walls hold the memory of the day's warmth, but they are releasing it now, slowly, into the night air. Shutter creaks open above you. You look up. A window, 3 stories high, barely visible in the darkness. Someone is there, leaning out slightly, looking down at the street or up at the sky. You cannot see their face. Just the outline of a figure against the faint glow of firelight from the room behind them. The shutter closes again, the sound of wood settling into place. Then, nothing. You continue walking. The street curves to the left, and you follow it. Another torch appears, this one mounted on the corner of a building. The flame is stronger here, fed more recently, the fuel still plentiful. The light it casts is wider, brighter, pushing the shadows farther back. In this light, you can see more of the street. The buildings are timber-framed, their wooden beams dark with age, the spaces between filled with wattle and daub. Some of the plaster has cracked, showing the woven branches beneath. The roofs overhang the street, protecting the walls from rain, creating a shelter that narrows the space even more. The ground here is different. Cobblestones, fitted together loosely, gaps between them wide enough that you can see dirt and debris settled in the spaces. The stones are worn smooth on top, their edges rounded by countless feet, by time, by weather. Your footsteps sound different on the cobbles, harder, sharper. The sound bounces off the walls and returns to you, creating echoes that overlap and fade. A door opens somewhere ahead. Light spills into the street, bright, sudden, startling. A figure emerges, silhouetted against the fire inside. They close the door quickly, and the light vanishes. You hear their footsteps moving away, quick and purposeful, fading into the distance. The torch on the corner gutters. The flame dips low, almost going out, then recovers. It will not last much longer. An hour perhaps, maybe less. Then this corner will be dark, and the shadows will claim the space completely. You pass another building. This one is stone, heavier, more permanent. A merchant's home perhaps, or a guild hall. The windows are shuttered. The door is closed, but you can see light around the edges of the doorframe. Thin lines of orange marking where the door does not quite meet the stone. The street splits ahead, 2 paths, both narrow, both curving away into darkness. You choose the one to the right, for no reason, except that it is slightly wider, slightly less dark. The shadows here are longer. The nearest torch is far behind now, its light barely reaching this far. The buildings rise on either side, 3 and 4 stories tall, their upper floors jutting out over the street, blocking what little moonlight might have reached the ground. You move through near complete darkness. Your hand trails along the wall, feeling the texture change. Smooth stone, rough timber, cool plaster. The wall guides you, keeps you oriented, tells you where the edge of the street is. Something moves ahead. You stop. Listen. A cat, perhaps, or a rat. The sound of small feet on stone, quick and light, then silence again. You continue. Another torch appears, distant, marking another corner or another intersection. The light is faint from here, just a suggestion of warmth in the darkness. You walk toward it, using it as a marker, a destination. The air moves, not wind, exactly. Just the slow circulation of air through the narrow streets, carrying smoke and coolness. and the smell of animals and earth and humanity living close together. You reach the torch. It burns in front of a well, marking the spot where people come during the day to draw water. The well is stone, circular, waist-high. A bucket sits beside it, wooden and worn. The rope is coiled neatly, waiting for mooring. The light from the torch falls into the well, illuminating the stone sides for a few feet before the darkness swallows it. You cannot see the water. It is too far down, too deep in shadow. You sit on the edge of the well. The stone is cold, rough against your hands. From here you can see 3 streets leading away, each one darker than the last, each one curving out of sight. The torch flame moves, up, down, bending, recovering. The shadows shift with it. Wilb's circular wall creates a moving pattern of light and dark, segments of illumination that rotate slowly as the flame moves. A bell sounds in the distance, deep, resonant, marking the hour, or calling prayers, or signaling something you do not understand. The sound carries through the night, bouncing off stone walls, fading slowly until it is absorbed completely by the darkness. You stand and choose another street. This one slopes downward, descending toward what might be the center of town, or might be the edge. You cannot tell. The darkness makes distance uncertain. The buildings here are older. You can sense it in the way they lean, the way their walls bulge slightly, the way their roofs sag. They have been standing for generations, settling deeper into the earth, adapting to the weight of time. Window glows ahead, not bright, just the faint orange of a fire burning low. You can see movement inside, shadows crossing the light, someone still awake, still tending to something before sleep. You pass beneath the window. The light does not reach the street. It stays inside, private, belonging to whoever is still awake. The street levels out, then rises slightly. The torch behind you is out of sight now, around a corner or over a rise. The next light is somewhere ahead, but you cannot see it yet. You walk through complete darkness, trusting the ground beneath your feet, the walls beside you, the certainty that the street will continue even when you cannot see it. Light appears, disappears, reappears. This is the rhythm of the medieval night. Pools of illumination separated by stretches of shadow. Fire claiming small circles of space. Darkness claiming everything else. You keep walking. The streets wind and turn and split and rejoin. The pattern repeats. Torch, shadow, torch, shadow. Each light temporary, each darkness certain. The medieval world is a world of intervals. Light to dark, warmth to cold, day to night. Nothing is continuous. Nothing is constant. Everything exists in cycles, in rhythms, in the space between one state and another. You move through it, one step after another, following the light when it appears, accepting the darkness when it does not. The buildings here are smaller, closer together. These are not the homes of merchants or guild masters. These are the homes of people who work with their hands, who live simply, who measure their days by labor and rest. The walls are timber and daub. The roofs are thatch, thick and dark, sloping steeply to shed rain. Smoke rises from openings at the peaks, thin streams of gray against the night sky. You stop in front of one. The door is closed, wooden planks held together by iron bands, worn smooth by years of hands pushing them open, pulling them shut. No lock, just a simple latch on the inside. Light escapes around the edges. Not much, just enough to show that someone is inside, that a fire still burns, that the day has not fully ended yet. You can hear sounds from within, faint, muffled by the door and walls, the crackle of fire, the soft murmur of voices, a child's laugh, brief and bright, then fading. You do not knock. You do not enter. You simply stand aware of the life continuing behind the door, separate from you, complete without you. The family inside is finishing their day. The work has ended. Tools have been set aside. Hands have been washed. Food has been eaten, or is being eaten now, around the fire, from wooden bowls, with wooden spoons. The fire is the center of everything. It provides light, warmth, a place to cook, a place to gather. The family sits near it, as close as the heat allows, because the rest of the house is cold. The walls do not hold warmth well. The floor is packed earth, and the cold rises from it. Only near the fire is there comfort. You move to the next house, and the next, each one similar, each one different. The same materials, the same construction, but each shaped by the people who live inside, by the care they give it or do not give it, by the years it has stood. Some houses show light from multiple rooms. Others are mostly dark, with only one window glowing. Some have smoke rising steadily. Others have smoke that comes in fits and starts, as if the fire is dying and being fed and dying again. You pass a workshop. The door stands open, just slightly. You can see inside, tools hanging on walls, a workbench along one side, wood shavings on the floor. A single candle burns on the bench, nearly consumed, the flames small and steady. Someone is still working. You can hear the soft, rhythmic sound of a tool moving across wood, scraping, smoothing. The sound stops, then starts again, careful, patient, finishing something before sleep. The candle flame wavers but does not go out. The worker continues. You cannot see them, just the movement of shadows on the wall, the suggestion of hands moving, of concentration, of a task that must be completed before rest is allowed. You move on. The street here opens into a small courtyard, shared space, 4 or 5 houses facing inward, their doors opening onto the common area. In the center, a pile of wood, stacked neatly, protected by a simple roof of thatch. Fuel for fires, shared, managed, necessary. One of the houses has no light. The shutters are closed. The door is firmly latched. The family inside is already asleep or lying in darkness, waiting for sleep to come. Another house shows light from 2 windows, upstairs and down. The family is divided, some already in bed, some still awake below, tending the fire, finishing the day's tasks. You sit on a stone near the woodpile. The courtyard is quiet. No one emerges from the houses. No one crosses the space. The day has ended, and people have retreated inside, into their private worlds, their small circles of warmth and light. You think about the rhythm of it. Every day the same. Wake when light comes. Work while light lasts. Return home when light fades. Gather around the fire. Eat, rest, sleep. Then wake and begin again. There is comfort in the repetition. The certainty that tomorrow will look like today, that the patterns will hold, that what needs to be done can be done because it was done yesterday, and the day before, and the day before that. A door opens. One of the houses across the courtyard. A figure steps out, carrying something. A bucket, perhaps. They move to the edge of the courtyard, pour something onto the ground, then return inside. The door closes. The latch falls. The fire inside that house dims slightly. You can see it through the window, the light decreasing, becoming warmer, softer. Someone has banked the coals, covered them with ash, preparing them to last through the night. The fire will not go out completely. It will smolder, holding heat, ready to be revived in the morning. You stand and leave the courtyard. The street continues, narrowing again, passing between more houses. Some show light. Most are dark now. The town is settling into sleep. You pass a stable. The door is closed, but you can hear the animals inside. The soft sound of breathing, the shift of hooves on straw, a horse snorting quietly. The animals are at rest, contained, safe for the night. The smell here is different, stronger, hay and manure and animal warmth, not unpleasant, just present. Part of the world where people and animals live close together, where work animals sleep near the homes of the people who depend on them. A window above you goes dark. The last light in that house extinguished. The family has gone to bed. They will sleep on straw mattresses, under woolen blankets, in the warmth that still radiates from the banked fire below. You continue walking. The houses become more scattered. The street widens slightly. You are moving toward the edge of the residential area, toward the boundary between homes and whatever lies beyond. One last house. Light still glows from a single window. You can see inside, partially, a woman sitting near the fire, doing something with her hands, sewing, perhaps, or mending. The firelight catches her face, shows her concentration, her tiredness, her determination to finish before allowing herself to rest. She does not look up, does not see you. You are outside in darkness, looking in. She is inside, in light, focused on her task. Eventually, she sets the work aside, stands, moves to the fire, and adjusts something. The light dims further. She moves out of sight. Moments later, the window goes dark. The street is darker now. Fewer lights remain. The town is surrendering to night, to sleep, to the hours when work stops and bodies rest and the world pauses. You walk on into the deepening darkness where the sounds of homes fade behind you and the night opens into something wider, quieter, more complete. The last sounds of the day are always the same. Doors closing, not slamming, not forced, just the soft, deliberate sound of wood meeting wood, of a barrier being placed between inside and outside. Each door closing is a small completion, a quiet declaration that the day has ended and will not be invited back in until morning. You hear them as you walk. One door, then another, scattered across the town in no particular pattern. Each sound arrives alone, distinct, separated by silence. The rhythm is irregular, but expected. This is what happens when night settles fully. A latch drops into place. The metallic click carries through the quiet, small but definite. Someone inside has secured their door, not against danger necessarily, but against the night itself, against the cold, against the darkness, against the uncertainty of what moves through streets when fires are low. You pass a home where the shutters are being closed. You can hear the scrape of wood against wood, the creak of old hinges, the careful movement of someone reaching from inside to pull the shutters inward. One window, then another. The light that was escaping is cut off, sealed inside where it belongs. The air grows colder as more shutters close. What little warmth leaked from homes into the streets is contained now. The night reclaims the outdoor spaces completely. An animal settles somewhere nearby. You hear it, the sound of a body lowering onto straw, the shift of weight, the release of breath. A cow, perhaps, or a goat. Animals kept close to homes for warmth, for safety, for the ease of tending them in mourning. The animals know the routine as well as the people do. When darkness comes, movement stops. When the day's work ends, rest begins. There is no resistance to it, just acceptance. A bell rings, distant, clear. The sound travels through the cold air without distortion, marking the hour. You do not know which hour. It does not matter. The bell is not for you. It is for the people who live here, who understand its meaning, who use it to structure their lives. The bell fades. Silence returns, deeper now, more complete. You reach a section of street where all the houses are dark, every window shuttered, every door closed, every fire banked or extinguished. The people inside are in bed now, or preparing for bed, moving through the small rituals that come before sleep, washing hands and faces in cold water, saying prayers or not saying them, checking that children are covered, adding one more piece of wood to the fire so it will last a little longer, removing outer layers of clothing but keeping inner layers on because the cold is too deep to sleep without them. These rituals repeat every night, have repeated for years, will repeat tomorrow. There is safety in the repetition, in knowing what comes next, in trusting that the patterns hold. You walk more slowly now. There is nowhere to hurry to, nothing pulling you forward. The town has closed itself for the night, and you are outside that closure, moving through spaces that have been surrendered to darkness. A cat crosses the street ahead, moving low and quiet, its body a shadow against shadow. It does not acknowledge you, does not pause, just continues on whatever route it follows through the night, hunting or exploring, or simply moving, because cats move. The cat disappears between buildings. You hear a soft sound as it lands on something, then nothing. Footsteps approach from a side street, slow, deliberate. Another person still outside, still finishing whatever brought them out after dark. The footsteps grow closer, then stop. A door opens, a brief glimpse of firelight. The door closes. The footsteps are gone. You are alone on the street now. The routine of the town is complete. Doors closed, shutters fastened, animals settled, fires tended. People preparing for sleep are already sleeping. The machinery of daily life has wound down, stopped, waiting to be wound again at dawn. You hear breathing, your own, steady, calm. The sound of it seems louder in the quiet, more present. You become aware of your body moving through space, of the cold air entering and leaving your lungs, of the rhythm that continues whether you attend to it or not. The medieval world lives by routine because routine is survival. Wake at the same time, work through the day, eat when food is ready, sleep when darkness comes. The pattern repeats because the pattern works, because deviation from it is risk, and risk is dangerous when margins are thin. You pass the last house on this street. Beyond it, the buildings end. The town gives way to something else, fields perhaps, or forest, or simply open land. You do not continue in that direction. You turn back deeper into the town, where stone and timber still surround you. A shutter rattles, just once, the wind finding it, testing it, moving on. The wood holds, the latch is secure. The house remains sealed. The wind itself is gentle, not strong enough to disturb, just present enough to remind you that air moves, that the world continues in motion, even when everything else has stilled. You think about comfort, not luxury, not excess, just the basic comfort of routine completed. of work ended, of body allowed to rest, of knowing that this night will be like other nights, that morning will come, that the patterns will hold. The medieval world does not promise ease, but it promises rhythm. It promises that if you do today what you did yesterday, tomorrow will likely come, and that promise, that predictability, is its own kind of comfort. A final door closes somewhere in the distance. The sound arrives thin and faint, barely audible, but you hear it, the last door, the last person surrendering to night. The town is complete in its quietness now, routines finished, rituals observed, everyone inside, everyone settling, everyone preparing for the hours when consciousness fades and the body repairs itself and dreams arrive or do not arrive. You stand still for a moment, listening. The silence is not empty. It is full of small sounds, the creak of timber settling, the distant movement of an animal, the whisper of wind through thatch. But there are no human sounds now, no voices, no footsteps, no doors. The routines have ended. Sleep has begun. The medieval night deepens, and the town rests within it, held by darkness, waiting for dawn. The monastery sits at the edge of the town, separated, distinct. A world within the world, but apart from it. The walls are stone, thick, tall, built to last, built to endure, built with the expectation that what is inside matters enough to protect. The stone is old, weathered smooth in places, rough in others, darkened by rain and time. You approach a gate, wooden, iron-banded, closed but not locked, or perhaps locked in a way you cannot see. You do not try to open it. You simply stand before it, aware of what lies beyond. Inside those walls, silence is practiced. Not just the silence that comes naturally when people sleep, but deliberate silence, chosen silence, silence as discipline, as prayer, as a way of being in the world. The monastery follows rhythms different from the town. The monks do not sleep when darkness falls. They sleep, wake, pray, sleep again, wake again, following a pattern that divides the night into portions, each portion marked by bells and prayers and movement through stone corridors. But now, in this moment, the monastery is between those portions. The last prayers have ended. The next have not yet begun. This is the interval, the pause, the space where even those who choose silence can rest within it. You walk along the outside of the wall. Your hand trails across the stone, cold, solid, unyielding. The wall does not care that you are touching it, does not register your presence. It simply stands, as it has stood, as it will continue to stand. A small door appears in the wall, smaller than the main gate. A door for individuals, not for carts or groups. It is closed. You stop beside it and listen. Nothing, or almost nothing. The faintest suggestion of sound from within. Not voices, not movement, just the ambient presence of a place that holds people, that contains breath and heartbeat, and the small sounds of bodies existing. You continue walking. The wall curves slightly, following the contour of the land, or the design of whoever built it. The stone remains the same, gray in the moonlight, textured with age, marked by lichen and moss in places where water runs during rain. A window appears high in the wall, narrow, arched, dark. The glass, if there is glass, shows no light. The room beyond is either empty or dark, or both. You cannot tell. The monastery is built for containment, for creating a boundary between the world outside and the world inside, between the concerns of daily life and the concerns of the eternal, between noise and silence, between movement and stillness. But even inside, even in a place dedicated to silence, there are sounds. There must be footsteps on stone floors, the rustle of robes, breathing, the turning of pages, the drip of water, the crackle of candles burning. Silence is never absolute. It is only the absence of certain sounds, the removal of voices, of conversation, of the noise that comes from people engaging with each other. What remains is not nothing. It is simply everything else. You reach a corner of the wall. The monastery extends in another direction. You follow it, curious without urgency, present without purpose. A bell tower rises above the wall, tall, simple, stone. The bell inside is invisible from here, but you know it is there. You have heard it throughout the night, marking hours, calling prayers, structuring time for those inside. The bell is silent now, waiting. It will ring again when the time comes, not because someone decides it should, but because the pattern requires it, because the rhythm must be maintained. Inside the monastery, the corridors are stone, long, narrow, lit by candles or not lit at all, depending on the hour. The monks move through these corridors with practiced ease, knowing the space so well that light is unnecessary. Their feet find the floor, their hands find the walls. They navigate by memory and repetition. The cells where they sleep are small, just large enough for a narrow bed, a small table, a candle. The beds are hard, straw mattresses, if that, woolen blankets, rough and functional. Sleep here is not comfort. It is necessity. Rest taken so the body can continue, so prayers can be said, so work can be done. But now in the cells, monks are sleeping, or lying awake in darkness, thinking or praying or simply existing in the quiet. Their breathing is slow, steady, the rhythm of bodies at rest. You imagine the chapel, large, open, stone floor, stone walls, stone ceiling, rows of wooden benches, or no benches at all, just space for standing, for kneeling, for prostrating. The altar at one end, simple, unadorned, functional. The chapel is empty now. The candles have been extinguished. The space holds only darkness and the memory of prayers spoken earlier, prayers that will be spoken again, prayers that cycle endlessly through the hours. You continue along the wall. Monastery is larger than you expected. It extends farther, contains more space, holds more people than the small door and high walls suggest. Somewhere inside, a kitchen, cold now. The fires banked, the pots cleaned and stacked, the tables wiped, the floor swept. Everything prepared for morning, when bread will be baked, when soup will be made, when simple food will be prepared for simple meals. Somewhere inside, a scriptorium, tables, benches, inkwells covered, quills stored, pages left to dry, the work of copying, of preserving, of creating books that will outlast the hands that make them, but not now. Now the scriptorium is dark and still. Somewhere inside, a garden, enclosed by walls within walls, herbs growing in neat rows, vegetables in season, paths between the beds. A place of growth and care and quiet labor. At night, the garden simply exists. The plants do not know it is dark. They continue their slow work of living. You reach another corner. The wall turns again. You have circled much of the monastery now. The stone remains constant, The silence remains constant. The sense of separation remains constant. The monastery does not need the town. It exists alongside it, parallel to it, but not dependent on it. The monks inside grow their own food, make their own clothes, follow their own rhythms. They are connected to the world outside only by choice, by the decision to pray for it, to preserve knowledge for it, to exist as a reminder that there are other ways of being. But they are still human, still bodies that need food and sleep and warmth, still people who feel cold, who grow tired, who struggle with the discipline they have chosen. The monastery contains the same needs as the town. It simply structures them differently. You stop walking, stood still, the wall beside you, the night around you. The monastery on the other side of the stone, containing its silence, holding its rhythms, continuing its patterns, whether you are here or not. A breath of wind moves past, cold, carrying nothing. Just air moving from one place to another, indifferent to walls, to monasteries, to the distinctions humans make between sacred and common space. You close your eyes, listen. The silence here is different from the silence in the town, deeper, more intentional. The silence of a place where quiet is valued, where it is cultivated, where it is the medium in which everything else occurs. You open your eyes. The wall is still there. The monastery is still there. The night continues. You turn away, walk back toward the town. The monastery recedes behind you, returning to its own world, its own silence, its own patterns that will continue through the night, and into the day, and through all the days after. The castle stands on high ground. You can see it from the town, a dark mass against the sky, larger than any other structure, dominating the landscape not through beauty, but through size, through the sheer weight of stone stacked upon stone. The path to the castle is steep, worn earth and stone, wide enough for horses, for carts carrying supplies, for soldiers marching. You climb it slowly, feeling the incline in your legs, hearing your breath work harder. The town falls away below. The scattered lights become smaller, fewer. The darkness between them grows. From here, the town looks fragile, temporary, a collection of small fires surrounded by nothing. The castle grows larger as you approach. The walls rise higher. The towers become distinct. You can see the outline of battlements, the shapes of openings for archers, the suggestion of gates and portcullises, and all the mechanisms of defense. But there is no defense happening now. No guards visible on the walls, no torches burning at the gate, no banners flying from the towers. The castle is simply present, stone, structure, mass. You reach the outer wall. It is massive, thicker than any building in the town, taller than 3 men standing on each other's shoulders. The stone is different here, larger blocks, more carefully fitted, chosen for strength rather than economy. The gate is closed, iron-banded wood, reinforced, built to withstand force. During the day, this gate might stand open, allowing access, allowing commerce, allowing the movement that sustains the castle. But at night, it is closed. The castle seals itself. You walk along the wall. Your footsteps sound small against the stone. The wall does not notice them, does not register your presence. You are a small thing moving beside a large thing, and the difference in scale is absolute. A tower rises ahead, round, tall. Windows placed high and narrow, designed to let archers shoot out while making it difficult for arrows to come in. But there are no archers now. The windows are dark, empty. You imagine the inside of the castle, the courtyard, a large open space, paved with stone, surrounded by buildings, stables on one side, barracks on another, storage halls, kitchens, armories, all the structures needed to sustain the people who live here, who work here, who defend this place when defense is required. But defense is not required tonight. No enemy approaches. No siege is underway. The castle exists in a state of readiness, but that readiness is potential, not actual. The weapons are stored. The soldiers are sleeping or off duty. The gates are closed not because of threat, but because of routine. Inside the keep, the central tower, there are rooms stacked upon rooms, great halls for gathering, private chambers for those with rank, narrow stairs connecting levels, fireplaces large enough to burn entire logs, providing heat for stone rooms that never truly warm. The lord of the castle is sleeping or lying awake in darkness, in a room with thick walls and a narrow window, and a bed larger than those in the town, but just as cold without fire. Power does not exempt anyone from the cold. The servants are sleeping too, in smaller rooms, in shared spaces, on harder beds, but still sleeping, because sleep is necessary, regardless of station. Power sleeps too. During the day, the castle represents authority, the physical manifestation of control, of hierarchy, of the ability to command and enforce and protect. But at night, those meanings fade. The castle is just stone. The lord is just a person sleeping. The soldiers are just men resting before another day of practice and waiting. The symbols of power, the banners, the displays of wealth, the visible presence of armed men, all of that requires light and audience. In darkness, with no one watching, the symbols become invisible. What remains is the physical reality: stone, bodies, the basic needs of warmth and food and rest. You continue around the wall. The path is uneven here, less maintained than the approach. You move carefully, avoiding loose stones, staying close to the wall for guidance. A window appears in the keep, higher up. A faint glow behind it. Someone is still awake, a guard on night duty perhaps, or a servant tending a fire, or someone unable to sleep, sitting in darkness waiting for dawn. The light does not spread. It stays contained in that one window, a single point of warmth in the vast darkness of the castle, one small flame in hundreds of rooms. The castle was built to be impressive, to intimidate, to demonstrate that whoever lives here has resources, has power, has the ability to command stone and labor and create something that will endure. But the castle does not impress the night. The darkness surrounds it with complete indifference. You think about the people inside, the hierarchies that structure their days, lord and lady, knights and soldiers, servants and workers, each level with its own place, its own duties, its own rooms within the stone. But in sleep, those hierarchies soften. The lord dreams or does not dream. The servant dreams or does not dream. Sleep does not recognize rank. The body's need for rest is the same regardless of position. The courtyard, if you could see it, would be empty now. The space that fills with activity during the day, horses being led, supplies being moved, soldiers training, people crossing from one building to another, all of that has stopped. The courtyard holds only air and moonlight, and the potential for activity that will resume at dawn. You reach another tower. This one has a door at its base, closed, heavy. You place your hand on it and feel the cold of iron fittings, the rough texture of old wood. The door does not yield, was not meant to yield, is locked or barred from inside. The castle contains violence, but the violence is sleeping too. The swords are in their racks. The arrows are in their barrels. The armor is on its stands, all of it waiting, ready, but not active. Not needed in this moment. The medieval world is built on the possibility of violence, the expectation that threats exist, that defense is necessary, that strength must be visible and available. But most of the time, that possibility remains unrealized. Most nights are like this one, quiet, cold, uneventful. You walk back toward the path that leads down to the town. The castle remains behind you, massive, silent, containing the sleeping bodies of people whose lives are structured by power, but who are, in this moment, simply human, simply tired, simply resting. The descent is easier than the climb. Your feet find the worn parts of the path. The town appears below, its few remaining lights small and scattered. You move toward them, leaving the castle to its darkness, its stone, its routines of power that will resume tomorrow, but are for now suspended. When power sleeps, places return to themselves. The castle is just stone. The Lord is just a person. The night claims everything equally, recognizing no rank, no title, no authority, except the authority of darkness itself. The rain begins softly. You do not see it coming. You feel it. Small touches of cold on your face, on your hands, barely distinguishable from the air itself. Then more. The rain finds you, finds the street, finds the stone walls and wooden roofs. The sound changes everything. What was silence becomes texture. The rain falls on different surfaces, and each surface creates its own sound. On thatch, it whispers. On stone, it taps. On wood, it drums gently. The sounds layer together, creating a constant murmur that fills the spaces between buildings. You find shelter under an overhang. The roof extends just far enough to protect a narrow strip of ground near the wall. You stand there, back against stone, watching the rain fall in the street beyond. The rain is steady, not heavy, not violent, just persistent. The kind of rain that will continue for hours, soaking into everything, turning dust to mud, finding every crack, gap, and opening. The street darkens as the rain falls. The few remaining lights from windows seem dimmer, more distant. The rain creates a veil between you and everything else, softening edges, blurring boundaries. Water begins to flow, not in streams, not yet, but in the slow accumulation of drops becoming rivulets, finding the low places in the street, following the path of least resistance toward whatever drainage exists. The stone beneath your feet stays dry under the overhang, but just beyond, the street is changing. The packed earth absorbs water until it cannot absorb more, then becomes slick, then becomes mud. The cobblestones gleam wetly, reflecting what little light exists. You hear the rain on the roof above you, constant, rhythmic, each drop distinct, and yet part of the whole. The sound is hypnotic. It does not change, does not vary, just continues, endless, ancient. The cold deepens. Rain brings cold with it, pulls warmth from the air, from stone, from your body. You can feel it settling into your clothes, your skin. Not uncomfortable yet, just present. The awareness that warmth is leaving and will continue to leave as long as the rain falls. Somewhere in the distance, water is dripping from a roof. The drops fall onto something hard, stone or wood, creating a slow, measured rhythm. Drip, pause, drip, pause. The interval between drops is almost regular, but not quite. Almost predictable, but not entirely. You think about the people inside the buildings, dry, sheltered, lying in darkness, listening to the rain on their roofs, on their walls. The sound is louder for them, more immediate. The rain drums directly above their heads, announcing itself, making sleep more difficult or easier, depending on the person. Some people find comfort in the rain. The sound of it is proof of shelter, proof that the roof holds, that the walls are sound, that inside is separate from outside. The rain makes inside feel safer, warmer, more protected. Others find the rain unsettling. It speaks of dampness, of cold, of water finding ways through thatch and wood, dripping into rooms, creating puddles on floors, reminding everyone that barriers are imperfect, that outside always finds ways to enter. The rain continues. You have no sense of how long you have been standing here. Time becomes uncertain when the only change is the slow accumulation of water, the gradual darkening of surfaces, the persistent sound that marks every moment identically. A shutter rattles somewhere. The wind has picked up slightly, finding the shutters, testing them. The sound is sharp against the softer sound of rain. Wood against wood, then settling, then rattling again. The wind brings the rain at an angle now. It sweeps under the overhang, and you feel it on your face, small cold touches that were not there before. You step back, closer to the wall, but there is nowhere to step back to. The wall is already against your shoulders. You accept the rain. There is no avoiding it. It will continue until it stops, and stopping is not something you can influence or predict. The medieval world teaches acceptance. Weather comes, weather goes. You endure it. The street is empty. No one else is outside. No reason to be outside. The work of the day ended hours ago. The routines of closing doors and banking fires are complete. Everyone who can be inside is inside. Only you remain in the rain, by choice or circumstance, standing under inadequate shelter, watching water fall. A door opens briefly, several houses down. A figure appears, throws something into the street, water from a basin perhaps, then retreats inside. The door closes. The moment of activity is over. The street returns to emptiness. The rain finds every surface. It runs down walls, collects in depressions, pools and corners. It seeks the lowest places, gathering, combining, becoming something more than individual drops. The water has weight now, presence. It moves with purpose, following gravity, flowing toward the edges of town, toward ditches and streams and whatever carries it away. You wonder about morning, whether the rain will continue through the night, whether dawn will arrive wet or dry, whether the streets will be mud or merely damp. The medieval world lives close to weather, cannot escape it, must adapt to whatever comes. Fields will be affected. If the rain continues, planting will be delayed, or harvesting, or whatever work requires dry ground and clear skies. The rhythms of labor are subject to the rhythms of weather. People wait. They have no choice but to wait. Inside the houses, fires struggle. Damp wood smokes more than it burns. Chimneys draw poorly when rain falls. The air inside becomes thick with smoke, making eyes water, making breathing harder. But the fires must continue. They are the only source of warmth, the only way to cook, the only defense against the cold that rain brings. You listen to the layers of sound, the rain on thatch, the rain on stone, the dripping from eaves, the flowing in the street, the wind moving through spaces between buildings, each sound distinct, each sound part of the whole. Together they create something that is not quite music, but has rhythm, has pattern, has a kind of order. Time is measured differently in the rain, not by hours or bells, but by accumulation, by how wet things become, by how much water collects in low places, by the gradual transition from dry to damp to soaked. Time moves slowly when marked this way. Each moment feels longer. Each minute stretches. The darkness is complete now. What little light existed from windows has been extinguished. The town sleeps, despite the rain, or because of it. The sound creates a kind of enclosure, a blanket of noise that separates the world into before rain and during rain, and eventually after rain. You remain standing, waiting. Not for the rain to stop exactly, not for anything specific, just waiting because waiting is what you do when there is nothing else, when movement has ended, when shelter is as good as it will get, when the night continues and will continue regardless of what you want or hope. The rain persists, patient, endless, caring nothing for your presence, for your discomfort, for your waiting. It falls because clouds release it, because the sky holds water until it cannot hold it anymore, because this is what happens in a world without control over weather, without ability to predict or prevent or escape. You accept the waiting, accept the cold, accept the sound of rain that does not change. This is the medieval night, not exciting, not comfortable, just present, just continuing, just existing in the space between one state and another, between wet and dry, between now and later, between darkness and the eventual arrival of dawn. The rain falls. You wait. The night deepens. Nothing hurries. Nothing changes. Only the slow, steady accumulation of water, of cold, of time passing without event, without drama, without anything except the patient persistence of weather and darkness and waiting. You have left the town behind. The streets ended. The buildings thinned. The path became dirt, then grass, then simply the memory of a route worn into the land by feet and hooves and wheels traveling the same way, over and over. You are walking through open country now. Fields on either side, though you cannot see them clearly. Just the sense of openness, of space, no longer enclosed by walls and roofs. The horizon, when you can distinguish it from the sky, is flat and distant. A village appears ahead, smaller than the town, much smaller. A cluster of buildings, maybe 10 or 12, gathered around a common space. No walls, no gates. Just structures standing together because proximity is safety, because isolation is risk, because people need other people even in the smallest numbers. The village is completely dark. No lights in windows, no torches, no fires visible. The buildings are silhouettes against a sky that is beginning barely to lighten. Not dawn yet, but the deepest part of night has passed. The darkness is thinning, becoming less absolute. You approach slowly. The path is muddy from the rain, though the rain has stopped now. Your feet sink slightly with each step, and you can hear the soft sucking sound as you lift them. The mud pulls at you gently, releases you, pulls again. The buildings are small, one room, maybe two. Walls of wattle and daub, roofs of thatch. These are not the homes of merchants or craftsmen. These are the homes of people who work the land, who live at the edge of survival, who measure wealth in animals and grain, and whether the harvest was enough. You pass the first building. No sound from inside. The walls are thin. If anyone were awake, moving, speaking, you would hear it. But there is only silence, deep sleep. The sleep of bodies exhausted by labor, by the physical work of survival. A small barn stands near the house, or not a barn exactly, just the shelter, open on one side. Inside you can make out shapes, animals, cows perhaps, or oxen, standing or lying, you cannot tell, but present, breathing. The warmth of their bodies radiates slightly, creating a pocket of less cold air near the shelter. The animals are asleep too, or resting, in whatever way animals rest. Eyes closed or half closed, muscles relaxed. The day's work of pulling plows or giving milk, or simply existing, has ended. They wait for morning the same way the people wait, without choice, without awareness that anything else is possible. You move to the center of the village. A well stands here, stone-lined, simple. A bucket sits on the ground beside it, overturned to keep rain from collecting inside. The well serves everyone, common resource, shared need. The ground around the well is hard earth, packed down by countless trips for water. During the day, this spot would see constant movement, women carrying buckets, children sent to fetch water, men watering animals. But now it is empty. Still, the well simply exists, holding water deep below the surface, ready for use when use is required. You sit on the edge of the well. The stone is cold, wet from rain. You can feel the dampness seeping through your clothes. You sit anyway. There is nowhere else. No bench, no shelter. Just the well and the open ground and the dark shapes of buildings surrounding you. The village is simpler than the town, harder. Everything here is reduced to necessity. No decoration, no excess, just structures that keep rain out and animals close and grain dry. Just the minimum required for life to continue. You think about the people sleeping inside these buildings, families, parents and children, and sometimes grandparents, all in the same room, sharing warmth, sharing space. Privacy does not exist here. Life is communal by necessity. They sleep on straw, under rough blankets, fully clothed because the cold is too deep to sleep any other way. The fire in the center of the room has burned down to nothing, or nearly nothing. By morning, it will need to be rebuilt, relit, fed until it provides enough heat to cook porridge or warm water. The work waiting for them at dawn is immediate. Animals to tend, water to fetch, fields to work, if the season is right, grain to thresh, bread to bake, endless tasks that repeat daily, that cannot be delayed, that determine whether the family eats or goes hungry. But now, in these hours before dawn, the work waits, the field waits, the animals wait, the people rest, because rest is the only way the body can continue. Sleep is not luxury, it is requirement. You hear a rooster, distant, faint, the first sound that suggests dawn is coming. The rooster does not know the time. It only knows that darkness is lessening, that light approaches, that the day will begin soon, and its call announces that beginning. The village does not stir yet. One rooster calling is not enough. The darkness is still too deep. The cold is still too present. The people inside remain asleep, taking every moment of rest they can before the demands of the day force them awake. You stand and walk to the edge of the village, past the last building, into the field beyond. The land here is flat, divided into strips. Each family works certain strips. The strips are marked by custom, by agreement, by memory passed down, boundaries that are not fenced but understood. The earth is dark, rich, turned over by plows, planted or waiting to be planted, depending on the season. The fields are empty now. Nothing moves across them. No people, no animals, just earth and the stubble of whatever was harvested last, or the green shoots of whatever is growing now. You walk between the strips. The ground is soft underfoot, muddy in places, firm in others. The rain has soaked in, given the earth what it needs, at least for now. Too much rain and the seeds rot, too little and they never sprout. The balance is delicate, uncertain, beyond control. The sky is lighter now, definitely lighter. You can see the horizon clearly, a line separating earth from sky. The darkness is lifting, thinning, becoming gray rather than black. The village behind you is still dark, still silent, but the silence feels different now, less deep, less complete. The world is preparing to wake even if the people are not yet ready. You return to the village, walk between the buildings, past the well, past the small barn with its sleeping animals, past the houses with their thin walls and sleeping families. A dog stirs. You hear it inside one of the houses, the sound of movement, a whine. The dog knows morning is close. It senses the change, even in sleep. Soon it will wake fully, will scratch at the door to be let out, will begin its day of wandering and watching and waiting for scraps. But not yet. The village holds its sleep a little longer. The people inside take the last moments of rest before the day begins, and the work resumes, and the cycle continues. You stand at the edge of the village and look back. The cluster of buildings, well, the small barn, the fields beyond, all of it waiting in a gray light that precedes dawn. The land sleeps with its people. The fields rest. The soil rests. Even the air seems still, paused, holding its breath before the activity of day begins. This is the medieval world at its most fundamental. Not towns or castles or monasteries, just villages, just fields, just people and animals and land. All of it bound together by necessity, by work, by the endless cycle of planting and growing and harvesting and surviving. The village will wake soon. The rooster will call again, louder, more insistent. Doors will open. Smoke will rise from chimneys being relit. People will emerge into the gray light, stretching, yawning, beginning the tasks that must be done. But that is not yet. For now, the village rests. The land rests. The animals rest. The world pauses in the last moments of night, gathering itself for another day, another cycle, another turn of the wheel that has turned forever and will turn again. You turn away. Walk back toward the path. Leave the village to its sleep. The gray light grows slowly brighter. The darkness continues to thin. Dawn approaches, patient and inevitable, bringing with it the return of light, the return of work, the return of life to spaces that have held only stillness through the long hours of night. The path continues through open country, no destination, no urgency, just the continuation of movement, because movement is what you have been doing, and there is no reason to stop. The light is growing, not sunlight yet, just the slow dissolution of darkness into gray, the gradual emergence of shapes and textures that were invisible moments before. The world is revealing itself, piece by piece, without hurry. You walk slowly. There is no clock measuring your progress, no schedule requiring you to arrive anywhere at any particular time. Time exists, but it is measured differently here, by light and shadow, by the position of the sun when it finally appears, by the rhythm of tasks that must be done. In the medieval world, nothing is instant. Messages travel at the speed of horses, of feet walking, of boats moving with wind and current. A message sent today might arrive tomorrow or next week. or never if the messenger is delayed or lost, or simply chooses not to continue. News arrives slowly. An event happening in one place will not be known in another place for days, weeks, sometimes months. The world is vast because it takes so long to cross. Distance is measured not in miles, but in time. A day's walk, 3 days' ride, a week's journey. You think about waiting. How much of medieval life is waiting? Waiting for seeds to grow, waiting for bread to rise, waiting for wool to be spun, for cloth to be woven, for iron to be forged. Every process takes time. Every task unfolds at its own pace, and that pace cannot be rushed. A farmer plants in spring and waits for autumn. Months of waiting, of tending and hoping and watching the sky for rain or sun, whichever is needed. The crop will grow or it will not. The harvest will come or it will fail. The waiting is unavoidable. A message is sent, and the sender waits. Days pass, weeks pass. There is no way to know if the message was received, if the person who received it understood it, if they will respond. The waiting continues until a messenger returns or does not return. The path curves slightly. You follow it without thinking. Your feet find the way. Your body moves with a rhythm that requires no conscious direction. One step, then another, then another. The repetition is meditative, calming. Nothing is missing. Nothing is rushed. This is not a world of deficiency. It is simply a world with different expectations. People do not expect instant results. Do not expect immediate answers. Do not expect to travel great distances quickly or to know what is happening far away. They expect to wait, expect to work slowly and steadily. Expect that most things worth having require time and patience and repeated effort. A tree appears ahead, bare branches reaching upward. The tree stands alone in the field, marking a boundary or simply growing where it was allowed to grow. You approach it and stop beneath it. The branches are dark against the lightening sky. Complex patterns of wood, smaller branches splitting from larger ones, twigs extending from branches, all of it creating a network of lines and spaces. The tree has been here for years, decades perhaps, growing slowly, adding rings each year, reaching upward and outward without haste. The tree does not know about speed. It only knows its own pace of growth, and that pace is fixed, unchangeable. You place your hand on the trunk, rough bark, cold, damp from the rain. The tree is solid, permanent, in a way that feels different from the impermanence of human structures. The tree will outlast the village. Will stand here after the buildings have rotted and collapsed and been rebuilt. Time moves differently for the tree than for people. Its seasons are slower. Its changes are gradual. But it is subject to the same cycles: growth and dormancy, wet and dry, cold and warm. You continue walking. The tree recedes behind you. The path extends ahead, visible now in the growing light. You can see farther than before. The landscape is revealing itself. Fields in all directions, some plowed, showing dark earth in neat furrows, some fallow, covered in weeds and wild grass, some planted with green shoots barely visible above the soil. The fields create a patchwork, a pattern of human effort imposed on the land. But the land remains itself beneath the pattern. The soil is still soil. The earth is still earth. The human work of plowing and planting and harvesting changes the surface, but not the substance. You think about communication. How it happens in the medieval world. Face to face, mostly. People talking to each other in the same space. voices carrying across short distances, no ability to speak to someone far away, no ability to preserve voices, to send them across distance or time. Written messages exist, but they are rare. Most people cannot read or write. Messages must be carried by people who can, or must be trusted, to messengers who might or might not deliver them accurately. The words might be changed, forgotten, misunderstood. So most communication is immediate and local. What you can say to the person standing in front of you, what you can hear from someone close enough that their voice reaches your ears. The world of words is small, intimate, limited by the range of human voice, and the distance humans can travel. The sky continues to lighten. The gray is becoming lighter gray, almost white in places. The sun is coming somewhere beyond the horizon, pushing light ahead of it. You walk through a world without speed, where messages travel slowly, where news is old by the time it arrives, where changes happen gradually enough that they are barely noticeable day to day. But this slowness creates something else, creates presence, creates attention to the immediate, to what is here, now in front of you, to the people you can see and touch, to the work at hand, to the season you are in. There is no elsewhere demanding attention, no distant voice calling, no information arriving from places you have never been and will never go. Just here, just this village, this field, this task, this day. The medieval world is small by necessity. Most people are born, live, and die within a few miles of each other. The village is the world. The surrounding fields are the extent of the known. Beyond that is rumor, story, imagination. But the smallness creates intimacy, creates knowing. Everyone knows everyone. Faces are familiar. Voices are recognized. The rhythms of other people's lives are visible, audible, part of the shared experience. You stop walking, stand still. The light is growing steadily now. The darkness is almost gone. World is visible in shades of gray, waiting for the sun to bring color. Nothing is missing. The medieval world does not lack speed. It simply moves at human pace, at the speed of walking, at the speed of horses, at the speed of seasons changing, at the speed of seeds growing. And in that pace, there is room to breathe, room to notice, room to be present in the moment, because the moment is all there is. No future rushing forward, no past accessible through recording, just now, just this, just the continuous unfolding of time at the speed that time naturally moves when nothing accelerates it. You begin walking again. The path continues. The fields continue. The light continues to grow. The medieval world continues at its own pace, unhurried, patient, moving through cycles that have repeated for centuries and will repeat for centuries more. Nothing is rushed. Nothing needs to be. The day will come when it comes. The work will be done when it is done. The messages will arrive when they arrive. World will continue at the only speed it knows, the speed of life lived moment by moment, task by task, season by season, and that speed is enough. The sun has not yet risen, but its approach is certain. The sky is pale now, almost white at the horizon. The darkness has lifted completely, replaced by the gray-blue of early morning. Not quite day, not quite night. The interval between. You are still walking, though the walking has become something else, less purposeful, more like drifting. Your feet move, but you are barely aware of directing them. They simply continue, carrying you forward through the landscape. The path is faint here, barely visible, more suggestion than actual route. But it continues, and you continue with it. The fields are still. No wind moves through them. No birds are singing yet. The world is paused in this moment before dawn, waiting for the signal to begin again. You pass a stone, just a single stone, standing upright in the field, marking something, a boundary perhaps, or nothing. Just a stone that someone placed here once, and it has remained. The stone is dark, wet from the rain. Moss grows on one side, the north side, where sun reaches least. The stone has been here longer than anyone can remember, will be here longer than anyone will live. You do not stop to examine it. You simply pass by, noting its presence, moving on. The world is softening at its edges. The boundaries between field and sky, between path and grass, between here and there, all of it becoming less distinct. The light is even diffuse, creating no shadows, no contrasts. Everything exists in the same gentle gray. Your breathing has slowed, deep, steady, automatic. You are not thinking about breathing. It simply happens, where the sun will rise, the way the day will begin, inevitable, requiring nothing from you. The medieval world is fading now, not disappearing, just receding, becoming less immediate, less present. The buildings are behind you. The people are behind you. Even the fields are thinning, giving way to open land that might be anywhere, anytime. You think about fire, how it has been present all night, in hearths, in torches, in candles, fire providing light and warmth and the center around which life organizes itself. But the fires are dying now, going out, becoming ash. By the time the sun rises, many of the fires will be extinguished completely. The light they provided will no longer be needed. The sun will take over, will provide illumination, will make fire unnecessary for seeing. But the fires will be lit again, tomorrow night, and the night after, and every night. The cycle will repeat. Fire and darkness, light and shadow, day and night. You walk more slowly now. Each step takes longer than the last, not because you are tired, not because you are reluctant, just because time itself is stretching, becoming elastic, losing its urgency. The path continues ahead of you. You can see it extending into the distance, fading into the pale light. You could follow it forever, or you could stop. Both options exist simultaneously, and neither feels more correct than the other. A sound reaches you, faint, distant, the church bell perhaps, or the monastery bell, calling for morning prayers, marking the end of night fury. The sound carries across the fields, across the distance, reaching you and continuing past you, fading into the air. You do not respond to the bell. It is not calling you. It is calling the people who live here, who structure their days by its sound, who know what each ringing means. The sky is lighter still, almost white now. The sun is very close. Any moment it will break the horizon, and the day will officially begin. But you are not waiting for it. You are simply present as it approaches. Your pace slows further. The walking is almost imperceptible now. Movement so slow it might be stillness. Stillness so slight it might be movement. The distinction no longer matters. The medieval world settles deeper into rest. Even as morning approaches, even as the call to wake has sounded, the world holds on to sleep a moment longer, holds on to the quiet, holds on to the peace of night before the day begins and work resumes and the cycle continues. You think about the people in their beds, still sleeping, most of them, or lying awake listening to the bell, knowing they should rise but not yet rising, taking these last moments of rest, these last moments of warmth, these last moments before the day makes its demands. The fires in the hearths are embers now, glowing faintly, holding heat but not light. By the time people wake fully, the fires will need to be rebuilt, wood added, air blown across the coals, flame coaxed back into being. But that is not yet. For now, the fires rest too, dim, quiet. Waiting, you stop walking, stand completely still. The path continues ahead, but you do not follow it. You simply stand, breathing, present, part of the landscape. The light surrounds you, even, gentle. The world is visible but soft, lacking the sharpness that full daylight brings. Everything exists in this moment of transition, this space between night and day. You close your eyes. The light remains, pressing softly against your eyelids, red-gray, warm, despite the cold. The medieval world continues around you. The fields, the villages, the towns, the monasteries, the castles, all of it settling, resting, waiting for the day that will come, whether anyone is ready or not. But you are not in the day yet. You are still in this interval, this pause, this breath between exhaling night and inhaling morning. Your breathing slows further, deeper, slower, each breath taking more time, each exhale releasing more than air, releasing awareness, releasing presence, releasing the need to be anywhere or do anything. The world softens, not fading, just softening, becoming less defined, less solid. The boundaries between you and the air, between the air and the light, between the light and the sky, all of it blurring, merging, becoming one continuous thing. The medieval world rests. You rest with it. The night has not ended. The day has not begun. There is only this moment, this breath, this soft, endless pause. The fires dim to nothing. The darkness lifts completely. The world holds its breath, and you drift, gently, slowly, into the soft gray light, into the quiet, into the rest that has no end, because it never quite becomes sleep, just this gentle floating, this suspension, this peace. The medieval world continues, quietly, endlessly, without conclusion. The fields breathing, you breathing, the world breathing, all of it together, all of it one. The night, the dawn, continuing, always, softly,